Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of my haul, or my second haul, of the Slatkin & Co. White Barn Bath & Body Works fall candle line. This is the first sort of wave of probably 3 or 4 groupings of their fall releases of scents. These are all ones that we are aware of and we've been aware of for the past couple of weeks. And I didn't purchase all of them in 3 wicks with my last haul and review, but today they had a 2 for $10 sale on the single wicks, so I figured I'd go in and see if there's anything new, which there really wasn't much except for a few different sizes with other returning favorites, and to pick up some scents that I hadn't gotten in the 3 wicks, or that they didn't have in the 3 wicks last week. So I wanted to go through those. Wanted to also go through a few other things here. I wanted to thank everyone for the comments on the last video and some of my other videos. I've had lots of new subscribers since the last test scent haul and review video, so I wanted to welcome everyone and thank you all for subscribing and for all the great comments. I'm going to try to spend some time over the next day or two to get in all the past videos and comment and reply to lots of comments, because you guys ask great questions and have really nice compliments and comments on the channel, and I really do appreciate that. I didn't want you to think that I was ignoring any of that, and I appreciate all the shout outs and all of that. So it's nice to see that you guys are enjoying the videos, so I'm very happy about that. I do think, in addition to this video, probably in the next few days I'll do another one. I still want to do one sort of comparing these scents to past fall scents, the packaging, notes on returning favorites, or comparing new candles to some past test scents. There are a few that I think may be like a new iteration of another scent from the past, things like that. So sort of delving more into the the in-depth kind of stuff that not everyone is super interested in. But one last thing before we get into going through the notes. Again, a lot of these you can see are returning favorites. But I think it's always interesting to see the new packaging and how they word the notes differently, and sometimes you'll notice that scents do smell slightly different. I'm not really one who thinks they tweak things very much, but it never hurts to do a sniff and a review on returning favorites as well as the new ones. But before that, I wanted to bring up something from the last video. We were, of course, concerned about low burn and drowning wicks and all of that with the returning or with the new fall candles. And so I generally, if you've watched any of my candle collection videos, I talk about the fact that I'm a stickler sort of for sticking to the season. So I don't really like to burn things outside of their season. I have a 2 or 3 month period for certain scents where I like to burn them then, and if I get halfway through the candle and don't finish it, I put it away until the next year, until that season comes along. I really have a scent sense memory for events in my life and just times of the year, and I like those scents to sort of stick with those those events or those times of the year or those memories. So I kind of keep them sort of in those specific buckets. But for y'all, I broke that rule of my own here, and I tested 2 of the 3 wicks to see how they would burn. So let's see, I tested White Barn No. 1 Nutmeg and Spice, and I tested Apple Crumble. I did these because I wanted to do one of the Slatkin & Co. and one of the White Barn, whatever they're going to call this line, the White Barn candles, to see how they would do. The White Barn had sort of the thinner braided wicks. The Apple Crumble had the really thick, they almost look like a piece of nylon rope, like a thin nylon rope, very plasticky when it first burns, and to see how they would do. And I'm happy to report that these both performed pretty much flawlessly. The Apple Crumble was the better of the 2, and you can see here, we all know last year Apple Crumble was terrible, but this year I had this lit for somewhere around an hour or so last week, and in that hour it burned a really nice pool all the way, you can see about down to there, sort of there's the line, so it's a good ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch, and the wicks, look at that, they didn't even get mushrooms on them, they just got that really thick, firm, stubby wick, and it pulled evenly across, didn't really even leave much residue. It just was, the perfect burn, and the scent lingered. I blew this one out, and I burned the, I think I burned the Nutmeg and Spice the same night, and for probably the first 45 minutes or an hour as I was burning the Nutmeg and Spice, I could still catch whiffs of the Apple Crumble. you know, throughout the room, even though it was, you know, I had extinguished it. So I was really impressed with that. It's been tempting to burn it, you know, again since then, since I love it so much, but I'm doing my best to hold off until at least, you know, mid-late August. So there's that, and then the testing of White Barn #1 Nutmeg and Spice, which I really am starting to love this one, or loved it when I was burning it. It really will be a great layering scent. It's warm. It's not, you know, it's not too vanilla. It's not too spicy. It's just really, really nice. And I'm thinking this may be a returning test scent from last year. I could be wrong, but I have to pull out some of my old fall candles from last year and compare, perhaps in the next video. Yeah, it's just so nice. But this one had more of the flimsy kind of wicks, and I wasn't sure, but it ended up burning fine. It got an absolute full pull on it. You see the wicks are a little bit different looking than the apple crumbles, but it got a full pull without a problem, and it went... I'll take a quick look at this. I can't really tell exactly. It didn't go quite as deep as apple crumble. I don't know if I had it burning for quite as long, but it was, you know, without problems. So that's really nice that two different, you know, lines with two different wicks both performed very well. So that's great. Also, again, before I get into these, because, you know, notes aren't that exciting on these since we know a lot of them. Tonight, after I purchased these, I wanted to do a test burn on one of these. Now, of course, we all know the single wicks aren't the best with their burn. Very much hit or miss. A lot of them will, you know, just don't work. They'll self-extinguish. Some people say to put them in one of the sleeves or something, you know, one of the decorative sleeves or one of the sleeves that has, you know, more metal around it to hold in warmth. Some people say they don't work, some people say they do. I generally think they probably don't do much, if anything. They might do the tiniest bit to hold in a little bit of warmth, but really I'd say that's, you know, a candle that is probably already going to be fine, will be fine with this. And if it's one that's tunneling and extinguishing and really not getting a full pull, I don't think this will do enough to really bring it back to a full, you know, fully functional candle. Now, what I do sometimes, I just purchased these, a set of these, just in the most recent SAS. I hadn't used them before with the single wicks. I do that, and what I also do is, so I'll pop that in there, and then I use an Illumilid that I think, it's not an official Yankee one, but it works on, you know, the Yankee jar candles. I've had this for probably 5 years. And I just set it, it's large, too large for these, but I set it right on top, like that, or even outside of the sleeve. I will set this on top. Now this does make a difference. This absolutely does make a difference. It holds drafts away. Again, it looks kind of crazy to have this huge thing on this little tiny candle, but it really works. It holds the heat in. This gets hot because it's so close to the flame when you're in such a short candle there. It's not, you know, a jar that's way far down, that the flame is way far down. So this really does hold the heat in, and it will make something evenly pull. It won't work all the time, but it has fixed some of my 4-ouncers. I am less wary about purchasing 4-ounce single wicks using this, and even with the sleeve. And I think it looks, you know, it's not bad. It doesn't look horrible, you know, together, a little fall mushroom, a flame, or a light there. And so anyhow, so that seems to work. So anyhow, I wanted to test to see if the fall candles and the single wicks would burn as well as they seem to in the triple wicks from my report and from everyone else's reports. And my result, I would say, at this point is somewhat inconclusive, unfortunately. I tried Cranberry Harvest, and it's actually still a little warm, so I have to be careful moving it. I only had it lit for maybe an hour, a little over an hour, and as you guys know with single wicks, you've got to, you know, do a good 2, 3, 4, 5 hour burn to keep these really well. But it wasn't terrible. I had it in the sleeve, I had it with the Illumilid on, and I'll show you, it's still cooling down. Looks worse than it is, but let's see if I can try to get a good angle. There's a little lip there where there's a little bit that did not get a full pull. Maybe I'll bring it into more light over here. But for the most part, it was decent. I think that little tiny bit there would have caught into the full pull had I let it go. So if you see me from another angle here, again, I'm not sure if this is showing up well. It looks worse than it is. I do think that this is something that would have corrected and probably been just fine. And it had a nice throw just from the pool that it was starting. So I still have decent hopes for the rest of these that they will burn okay. Again, I don't expect the world from them. They're just a little 4-ounce candle with a single wick, but they're nice for layering. And with this, especially with the channel, I like to review lots of scents for you guys, and having them do a 2 for $10 sale, use a survey coupon, get 6 candles for $20. It allows me to get scents that I may not purchase in a 3-wick, ones that I'm not totally head over heels about, but that are good enough or are good for layering. I'll be happy to get, paying $3.33 after the survey coupon for each of them. It's not a problem. So let's just get right into it. This is a returning favorite. It's been around for at least the past couple of years in many forms. It's one of the few candles that we see, or scents that we also see in the antibacterial soap line, Creamy Pumpkin. So this year falling under the White Barn Gold Lid Collection. Notes indulge in the sumptuous and soothing fragrance of spiced pumpkin, sweet caramel, and warm cream, inspired by the sweet richness of fall harvest. I've actually always wanted this one, and I never purchased it in the past. In the candles, I always just ended up getting something else in place of it. But it's nice. It doesn't. I don't get a lot of pumpkin. It's more towards the bakery. They could call it a bakery item. It's probably under the gourmand. But I like it. It's definitely got a little bit of the caramel, the cream without being like a buttercream, so it's not like a cupcakey thing. And it's just, at this point, I've had it, as a soap for tears and rose, so it reminds me of the fall because I've had it in the past. So that's never a bad thing either. Also, before I forget, the associate I spoke with, she may actually have been a manager, I'm not sure. I was asking her about some of the fall scents, and she confirmed that Maplewood Bonfire was coming, and she had a little cardboard fold-out that said Fall Home Fragrance Pocket Guide. And I didn't get a close look at it, but she said it listed all of their upcoming fall candles, and that there would be many more, and they'd be coming in multiple waves. And the list, it must have had a good 40 to 50 candles listed on there, and they were all broken down into categories. There was gourmand, floral, which surprised me. I'm not sure that we've seen any of the floral ones yet for the fall. Gourmand, floral, fruity, and there has to be one more, right? So gourmand, fruity, floral, and one other. I don't remember. But she mentioned the notes. They also had the notes in there, so it would have been great to see that. She mentioned the notes in the maple one were, I think, a maple, I don't want to say syrup, maple something, cardamom, and blonde woods. So lighter than like a dark cedar wood or than the woods that are in Fireside. So that sounds like it could be really, really nice. I'm hoping something along the lines of like a Marshmallow Fireside. The blonde woods sounds interesting. Cardamom, I love when they throw things like cardamom and bergamot and coriander into their candles. I always think it adds a really nice layer and earthiness. So I'm excited for that. And she mentioned the chocolate bacon cupcake that everyone's been talking about lately. So she didn't tell me the notes in that, but I'm sure they'll be pretty obvious. But so if any of you are friendly with your sales associates, certainly in the test stores, ask them to see if they have that the Home Fragrance Fall Pocket Guide, to see if you could check it out for a sneak peek of upcoming scents. So anyhow, back into our candles here. We've got another returning favorite, Cranberry Woods. I was kind of surprised that this one is in the White Barn Gold Lid line. I shouldn't call it Gold Lid line because we've had aromatherapy in the Gold Lid, so just the White Barn line. Because there's no real rhyme or reason to see exactly why they're doing certain ones in certain, Slatkin versus White Barn, because salted caramel you would think would be coffee treats with pumpkin caramel latte and spice cider and cider lane and pumpkin cupcake and cinnamon nut bread and all of that. And you would think something like Cranberry Woods would be more with the autumn, autumn and leaves, and the less autumn day, the less foodie ones. And then again, you'd think apple crumble would be. Honestly, I don't know what I'm even saying now. But the point is, you would think I wouldn't expect Cranberry Woods to be in this line. I would think it would be more. I could, based on the photo that it always had in past years, something more like leaves or Cranberry Harvest, sweet cinnamon pumpkin, or Cider Lane. But here they're just showing a bowl of cranberries, which really, that's not an appropriate photo for this. I would say if it was the cranberry cider from last year that doesn't seem to be coming back, maybe. But for a candle that has fresh tart cranberries, black currant, and warm cinnamon bark, with the delightful fragrance inspired by the magic of the woods during harvest time. I don't think that this really appropriately captures that. I miss this is also just like a true, like a frosted cranberry color. I miss the darker color, the darker label, the more mysterious woodsy label, to it. So again, if it burns well and it's the exact same scent, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. But I just don't see where they were going with that, or where they, what made them think to go in that direction with that. We've got another oldie but goodie spiced cider, which seems to have a different label every year, but always, and a different colored wax sometimes too. But this, delicious blend is straight from the orchard that mulls 3 varieties of fresh apples spiced with nutmeg and cloves. The notes this year, or the descriptions, are always slightly different, but the notes generally are the same. Sometimes they'll mention something that wasn't in there, they didn't mention last year, but it's of course the same scent. And this is the same spiced cider that we've always known. Truly a cider, no caramel to it. No, I don't really get cinnamon either. It's definitely, like they say, nutmeg and cloves. And it's just that sweet, spiced cider, an overall spicy cider that could be a blend of fruits. Could be pear in there, could be almost some cranberry. Again, it's a really nice, standard, somewhat, not exciting scent, but I would miss it if I didn't have it. Then we get into, I hope I can move this without making a mess here, one of the new scents, Cranberry Harvest, which has a really pretty label there with, looks like you're at a pumpkin patch and you're harvesting everything. And this one, at first sniff, I wasn't super excited by it, but the more I've smelled it, I really do like it. The notes, I think, can we move this? Yeah, I can move it enough. The notes are bright and crisp as a sunny fall day, the perfect autumn blend of fresh cranberries, apple, peel, which we haven't seen before, and clove. And when I sniff this, it really is, it's a sweet cranberry, somewhat reminiscent of cranberry cider from last year, but nicer than that. It's got a lot of base of that clove. The clove reminds me of the clove that's in the discontinued cinnamon and clove buds candle. You've got that, and you definitely do have some apple there that you don't notice at first. So it's not a dominant apple like most of the apple scents. You immediately pull them out. I don't get that as the dominant trait in this. It really is a sweet cranberry, almost a cranberry juice. It's interesting to me that they can really do so many different cranberry scents with similar notes that don't smell the same. You've got your Cranberry Woods, cranberry cider from last year, frosted cranberry, which is one of my all-time favorite, winter cranberry scents, and now Cranberry Harvest. I'd almost want to smell this. I'll have to pull out an old berry and bark from a few years back to see if this is similar to that, because it could be. But anyhow, really nice, and I think I'm going to have to get it in a 3-wick the next time they do it, a 2 for $20. So that's another winner. Then we've got, for me, a returning favorite. It's sort of a love-or-hate black pepper bergamot. Seen many iterations with this one. It started out as Peruvian black pepper and bergamot in the Passport line last fall. Then it turned into just black pepper and bergamot when it came out with Indian Mahogany Teakwood, and now it's returning. I'm very happy to see it. I like that they're doing the conceptual or sort of more higher end, complex fragrances with their lines. Oh, and I just love it. It's somewhat cologne-y, but it's not a cheap body spray cologne. It's, whew, man, that's good. The notes on this one are intricate layers of spicy black pepper combined with an uplifting bergamot and lavender, and a fragrance inspired by fall's changeable days. So again, they're harkening back these all to inspired by fall, which we know is not exactly always the case or true, but I never noticed that there's lavender in there, but I guess I can sort of pull out some astringent lavender in that. But I just love it. I've got a bunch of those actually in 3-wick in their packaging from last year, but I couldn't pass it up. I think it'll be great for layering, and the new wax color and label just looks, I think it looks nice and high-end, actually. It's one of the ones I like in the gold lines there. Pumpkin Cupcake, lots of talk about Pumpkin Cupcake. I've said in a lot of my videos, if you sat through my super long and probably somewhat tedious collection videos, Pumpkin Cupcake, or I'm not generally a bakery fan. Of course, you'll see I buy lots of them because it's hard for me to pass up a Slatkin scent on a deal unless I truly dislike it, which is far and few between. But pumpkin cupcake, I wasn't excited about it. It's, pumpkins or cupcakes are, such a fad that I'm really not into. Give me a cookie any day over a cupcake. But I, figured I'd give it a shot. And the notes are the perfect pick from the Corner Bakery this fall. Spiced pumpkin cupcake with rich buttercream and frosted ginger. Okay, so we figure it's going to be a base of frosted cupcake with some maybe sweet cinnamon pumpkin and ginger thrown in there. Don't really trust Slatkin to necessarily do ginger well because gingerbread last year didn't really smell like ginger or as strong ginger that I'd be used to with a gingerbread, Yeah, I don't dislike this. I'm just not wowed by it at all. It's not an in-your-face, really intense bakery item, and it's really kind of light. This is one of those scents where if you would, like if you were in a, like a focus group and you put the candle like this in front of someone and you ask them to name it or tell the notes, I don't think they would ever say pumpkin cupcake in a million years. I think they would, I really don't know, like they'd probably say creamy caramel, maybe almost some toffee from it. I mean, I guess I get a little bit of ginger, but I mean, it's almost so weak that I need to sort of try to rub it to, get the oils, open up in the surface there. Yeah, I don't really smell a whole lot at all, which is kind of surprising, but I don't smell a whole lot on frosted cupcake either, so if you love that, you might love this, but I don't get a whole lot of scent throw on either one of them. I guess I get some buttercream. I get a little ginger, similar to the gingerbread from last winter, which I didn't think was strong. I thought it was way creamy without any sort of spice to it at all. Same thing with this. And as far as pumpkin, I mean, pumpkin is hard to smell and really recognize that you're smelling pumpkin, because usually you're recognizing a pumpkin pie as the scent when you're looking for pumpkin. You're not really smelling a squashy kind of pumpkin, like a true raw pumpkin. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll be great when I burn it, but I just don't see the. I mean, sorry, don't hate me for it. I just don't see the desire for this or the love for this. I don't know if people are really like convincing themselves they love it. It sounds horrible to say that, but like you want to love a pumpkin cupcake, so you want to love it that it smells so good. But I mean, yeah, again, if that was like in front of a focus group, I feel like you could call it a million things, and pumpkin probably wouldn't be on the top of the list, and neither would cupcake for me. There was something I thought it reminded me of, but now I can't remember. If I remember by the end of the video, I'll mention it. But on to sweet cinnamon pumpkin, returning favorite. This to me was always took a backseat to pumpkin patch, which was by far my favorite pumpkin, but it looks like it's probably not coming back this year. Sweet cinnamon pumpkin is nice though. It's more of the pumpkin pie as opposed to a pure pumpkin like the patch was. So this is pumpkin pie, vanilla cream, and spice, which I don't know if they ever called it vanilla cream before. But it's nice. It's super, when you think of a, almost any line of candles, a sweet cinnamon pumpkin or a pumpkin pie, this is what you get. You're heavy on the pumpkin pie spice with, the allspice, the clove, the cinnamon, some nutmeg, a little bit of vanilla, and there is some pumpkin in there. So this one I would say, it truly does smell like pumpkin. It's one of the few, I don't get a lot of pumpkin in their pumpkin caramel latte either, which I didn't even purchase, which is a shame because I love pumpkin. Creamy pumpkin's got a little bit. Pumpkin patch I think had the most. So yeah, that's a good one. Also good for layering. One of those similar to spice cider for me where it's not exciting, but if I didn't have it, I'd probably miss it. I'm rambling on here. We're going on 30 minutes, so if you're still here, thanks for sticking with me. Autumn, I love this scent. I think it's the perfect transition into autumn candles. It's got so much apple in it, like your autumn apple or now Fresh Market or Farmstand Apple. I love the label this year. I think it's so nice, like an early September, mid-September day. The notes in this one And see, as it even says, on the brink of sweater weather, inviting fragrance blends dark pomegranate with red apple and notes of fir balsam, which I don't remember seeing the fir balsam listed in there in years past. It's just so good. It's a really rich, bright apple. I don't get specifically pomegranate, but there is sort of an intense, juicy sweetness that must be the pomegranate. And there's definitely some of that fir in there. Not like the fresh balsam, but just a little bit of a woods that's like a bright daytime woods. Just, oh man, it's so great. I love that one a lot. Definitely gonna have to get that in 3-wick. This one I reviewed in the 3-wick last week. I was doing 2 transactions of 6 candles and I needed a 12th candle, so I figured let me throw on Cider Lane because it's just such a great caramely cider. I love that one. Salted caramel. I was not a fan of, one of the few people, again, I was not a fan of salty caramel in its original form from the Boardwalk Collection 2011. I burned it one time and it was so intense that I blew it out. It was too much for me, and the next day I came home from work and I smelled it in my apartment even though it hadn't been lit for almost 24 hours. I've burned it a few times since then. It's okay, I like it. I think smelling Summer Boardwalk this year made me like that one again because they were so similar. I bought this because I do want to compare it. I should have got out my salty caramel. They changed the name to Salted Caramel, which is not unheard of. It could be the exact same candle. It probably is. The notes, Autumn Day, Farm Fresh, Sweet Cream, Salted Caramel, and Warm Vanilla. I think it's probably the same candle. Not entirely sure. But if it is, it's much lighter. There's no way that this is my nose. They had to have reformulated this somewhat because it's not nearly as intense as the salty caramel candle I have from last year. It might be fine, but this is another one actually where I'm really getting very little scent from it. I don't know if what's going on with that, but yeah, this one and the pumpkin cupcake, it's like they're so light. I'm not getting a ton from them, which is surprising because again, it used to be one of the strongest candles I had burned from Slatkin. Then we've got everyone's favorite, Leaves, and what I think is so cool here is this is the one candle or the one scent that they have in both lines, at least in the store that I was in, and from what I've heard, on other channels here. And so it's Leaves. It's the returning favorite that they've had for years. It's really their signature fall scent. Leaves is to Slatkin as Harvest is probably to Yankee. It's their big conceptual scent that, of course, it doesn't smell like leaves, but to them it's their what fall for Slatkin and Bath & Body Works smells like. And it's the exact same scent, but one is in Slatkin & Co., one is in White Barn, one has brown, one has white wax, and different photos. On the first one here in the White Barn, you've got like a bridge in a forest with leaves on it. Really pretty, actually. And in this one, you've just got a ton of leaves with that bright horrible font that people are hating on, which I sort of agree with. And so, but again, it's just the same candle. The notes, it's funny, the notes in them are the same, but they have different descriptions. So it's really interesting, like, what they're going for, what made them decide to put what description, on which. So in this one we've got a fragrance that embodies the richness of fall with all of its colors and pleasures, featuring notes of golden nectar, ripe delicious apple, and red berries. And then this more standard contemporary one is celebrate the brilliant colors of autumn with this rich blend of golden nectar, red apple, and berries. Same great scent. Oh man, whew. Leaves, you love it. So yeah, I just think it's so interesting that they're testing that to see, and the SKUs on them are different. So when they scan it, the numbers there on the UPC do end differently. So they're definitely testing to see, I guess, which one sells more. So I don't know if they're using that to see which line Leaves will fall under, or if they're sort of using that as a barometer to see in general if people are responding well to the White Barn name. As sort of the control candle to see across the board, one, Slatkin and White Barn. So anyhow, I thought that was kind of interesting. So again, I've made this super long for not a lot of new scents here. But I thank you for sticking around. And again, I may do another video in the next couple of days comparing some of these to past scents and some old test scents and things like that. And I'll let you know. Again, I might try to burn another one to see if we have some luck with the single wicks, which would be great if they end up burning well. So again, thank you for sticking through this. I appreciate all the comments. If you have any questions or want me to do any reviews on these candles, other fall scents from last year, back and forth, whatever it is, please let me know, and thanks so much for watching. Take care.